Tower of God. We're wrapping up with some Tower of God discussions. Finally, the final 3 episodes that we've missed out on. Um, yeah, it's we're gonna start off with 24, I believe, which is
Okay. So they're still in the no. Actually, it's kind of where they already know that the fight was all a farce, right?
yeah.
And just a trap and things like that. Um, and they have to fight the reflejo, right? Or like that cold look, chaotic kind of man.
I mean,
Um,
we're getting the yes. They're just about to start fighting Reflecto. Yes, I believe.
right, but I mean, they make the. It's when they're making the choice to go back, and the professor tells the other ranker to wait for them, right? To give them 5 minutes.
Yes.
That's so right when they make that decision, and we see that the other ranker, the red hair, is there, which is, to me, it was a nice surprise.
Which red hair
You
ranker?
know, the spiky red hair, the one that was in the spaceship, the ranker,
I
the
don't.
one that fought in the last season, with the game and won
Uh,
because they kind of stole him. Well, anyways, I really like that the blonde ranker asked him to wait 5 minutes for them to give them 5 minutes so they
yes.
can go and save that guide, right? Save the guide. And the other dude, um,
Wingning? You
what's
mean?
yes, the wing, yeah, no, not him too, the other one too, the big guy, the experiment guy.
Oh, Haryukin,
Um,
Haryan, or whatever.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, because
him.
he was being held hostage, I do believe.
Right, with the guy. So they don't let Bam go alone, of course. They're not making that mistake again. So they go with Bam, and I like the what's it called? Isori, what the princess? Uh,
In Dorsey?
it's in Dorsey, yes, in Dorsey. I like that she obviously joins the fight, right? And points out that her date must be, she must get a date out of this, and and she fights that um
The Mad Dog.
angel, yeah, and the angel, which you know she really didn't seem that dangerous or I don't know, evil, but damn, now I'm scared of her after these 2 last episodes. The way that she just kind of like Rachel
Hmm.
in a way,
I'm.
very much you know, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, at least
But that fight was good.
I'm.
That fight was good
Yeah,
though.
I mean, at least with the Mad Dog, it seemed like it was a pretty even fight because the Mad Dog was kind of like taking hits and not really caring much. Also, he was being
Hmm.
protective of that angel. The angel was like the one that was kind of guiding
Yeah.
the dog, the Mad Dog.
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, this one was also the episode where we find out that Kasana was after Emily, right?
Costanzo, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
there was him wanting to. He basically wanted Emily for something, and it was to like one of the goals that Kasano had, I believe, was to like destroy everything, including like Bam,
Yeah.
if need be. Um, but yeah, the fight with Refleco was pretty decent
Reflejo, yes.
because the Reflejo
Yeah.
was kind of exploring Bam's weakness to want to help his friends.
And he was really playing with him really because he had the switch and like could like was you know um, calling it out as it was happening in a way.
Yeah,
So, but they were able to pull one on him from that. So all is well.
yeah.
All is well. They
I mean, it was
they
pretty
took
rough because because he had like a B ranker specialty, right? Where
Mhm.
it was kind of like given to him by the higher ups, and it was making it more difficult for our turtles to like really do anything. As I mean,
Yeah.
they're all like E rankers still, right? So like having to face something that's of B rank is kind of like way out there.
Right. 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 Yeah.
And
Yeah. But that's kind of the challenges that our heroes seem to have to face, or are forced to face,
yeah,
because obviously all this is mostly set up. So.
yep. Um, I do I did also like in this episode we got like a little hint of like Sophie, the scientist, where she was kind of like she realized that did end up going with them later on, but we get a little
Mhm.
Reflejo backstory, right? In this episode, we find out why he has no eyes, and that was that one of the 10 families actually like uh made him go blind, and I think it was one of the Coons family members. No, no, no. It wasn't.
Mm.
It wasn't one of Coon's family members. It was a new family that we have yet to be introduced to. Now that I remember, yeah. Uh, but yeah, really interesting how like the folk people have this distaste for the 10 families, but they always seem to have like some sort of backstory to them that uh,
Yeah.
kind of like makes you sympathetic towards them in a way.
Mhm. I mean, that's why they were playing Bam as their god, because he was defying all of them. Right?
Yeah, that's why they wanted
So,
Bam to be the god, but he was like, "I am now your god," like, and I'll never be what you want me to be.
mhm.
And at one point, like they did. I do believe this is when they dropped. No, I think that was in the next episode. But the Leroy guy, right? The teacher or whatnot, the one that's helping them, the blonde guy, Ro.
Mhm.
He is broadcasting like everything that's happening in this event.
Right, right, right. Smart move on him. At the end of the day, you're playing the system.
Yes, because if it wasn't for that, like nobody would find out what was happening. And with this, they can't cover it up or anything. And the episode kind of ends off with uh Reflejo kind of trying to take Bam down, right, to the molten lava with him,
Mhm.
and it kind of was not to it was to no avail because obviously Reflejo we know Reflejo has nothing, no real connections, and in this one,
Right.
the connections Bam made in this season with Wang Nang came into play where he was saved by one of his bombs,
Right.
and also by Endorse. I think Endorse catches him at the end. And then we get into the final episode of Tower of God, episode 26.
Oh my God, that episode! I wanted to ask you, is I literally rewatched the first episode. I mean, the first season before the this new season came, and I don't remember seeing that teacher.
Which one?
The one that basically gives the warning to Jihad and then sends a message to Bam.
Oh,
I
hmm.
don't remember seeing him. Is this our first time seeing him?
I would have to rewatch the first season because I do not recall. Um,
Yeah, I rewatched the first season and I don't remember him. So and I'm like, fuck, I just rewatched the first.
yep. But now
I'm gonna have to rewatch.
you're gonna have to rewatch the entirety of Tower of God.
I know, right? Like even yeah. Honestly, that's what I think I'm gonna do. Like I watched the dub, and then I would like to rewatch this.
Yeah. you'll have to rewatch both. Obviously, I think
Yeah, exactly. So might as well go back, start from the
yeah.
thinking,
Start taking
catch
notes.
this one.
Start taking notes of
Mm-hmm.
all the characters you meet.
Oh, I
Uh,
know, right? No, yeah, it was, yeah, dude, that player right there makes me feel like, wow, what a piece
yep.
game.
Yeah, they Tower of God did quite well in wrapping up this arc, but also in it they also like teased what the next arc is going to be, which I think for me that's what's exciting if they do a season 3, because that arc is one
Hmm.
of my favorites.
Hmm.
But this episode kind of like kicks off with like all of them trying to get off because obviously there's lava everywhere,
Hmm.
and they get saved. I do believe because one of the family heads that was watching the entire thing calls off the hit that they had on them.
Yes.
So pretty interesting to see that there was a one of the top 10 families that was always like watching over it, which kind of adds like another layer. Like if you've been watching over all
Hmm.
this, why you let everything
Hmm.
just keep going as they were? What did you have to gain
Right.
from it? Um, but yeah, one of the I think they declared them winners at the end, right?
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes. Yes.
we get an interesting hint that I'm not sure if you caught on, or like maybe you caught on and maybe you have some theories about. Uh, so I'll poke your head about it right now. They mentioned something about the final test revealing the Prince of Jihad.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I caught on. Of course, we know who the prince all along. Just kind of wanted to know how important his position was,
Yep.
and I do like that in this episode it is mentioned that he might be immortal. Makes sense with
Yep.
what we know about him so far. So.
Yeah. So another cool thing that I know you took note of is that the ring. He's not the only one with the ring of Jihad, right? Or
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
there was
Definitely.
the other Slayer candidate, Karaka, that also has the same ring.
Mm-hmm.
So in it, they're just like letting us know that these two are candidates to be the Prince of Jihad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because all this is a competition.
Yeah, there always has to be a competition in Tower of God, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, everybody's celebrating. The turtles are finally back together, and
Oh my God! I know they even had a sleeper.
yeah, they.
Oh, why everyone was celebrating? Oh, sweetest part of it. I was waiting. It felt like I was waiting all season for that scene.
Yep, and yeah, I love that they're just resting while everybody else is celebrating that they completed
Yep.
everything. Obviously, because they're the
Yep.
ones that exhausted the most energy. I want to say out of the group, and also like the ones that did the most.
Right. Right.
And in it, you find out that Wang Ning wakes up and it's like, damn, he's already healthy. Like, what the fuck's going on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in less than a day, right? Everyone's
Yeah,
saying it, like, wow, like, are you sure? Like,
you recovered.
shouldn't you be? Yeah.
It's like you recovered quickly. Are you sure you should be eating like that? And,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, love that. Everybody's finally like, obviously they're hinting at there's more to Wang Ning than meets the eye. And me
Right.
and you have been talking about it like since the start of the season, how even like in the first episode he ended up coming out alive out of the.
Diving, yeah, from the fire that everyone died in.
Yep. So he probably has like some strong healing factor from what context clues that we're getting so far, or maybe there's something else to him, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe it could be the power of the ring. Who knows? Like I think we need more clues to really piece it together. But uh, we see the BAMS teacher approach uh, his other student Karaka, the other Slayer candidate.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I think that was like really nice way of doing it, because basically the teacher let him know, like, yeah, I know you guys were up to it, right? And I let it happen, right? I knew it all along, but I let it happen because
Mhm.
he's the one that kind of put a way out for Bam. And that's what the Slayer candidate was telling him, like, if you knew all this, what why are you still helping Bam, right? Like, what do you have to get out of him being happy, right? Or have why are you doing this for him? And that's just one of the teachers kind of like, well, I just want what's best for him. And he realized, you know, uh,
For my students.
yep, he. And now we have like kind of like a small rivalry between the, or like, well, it is a small rivalry in a sense because Bam doesn't know this guy exists yet, but this guy knows
Mhm.
Bam exists, and he's kind of like a bit envious, I want to say, of Bam.
Yep.
So we get all this book business taken care of, and now it's finally time for the date. You know, the Endorsey and Bam date.
Oh my god, I'm so glad we got it. So
Yeah.
glad we got to see it.
All right.
Even though Bam was so,
Yeah.
oblivious, but and Dorsey wasn't, so that was cute.
Yep. I I really loved the date because obviously the Endorsey knew that Bam's friends were tagging along the entire time, but she just kind of like
Mhm.
let him be there. And
Yep. Fine.
yep, and Kun allowed them to also like keep an eye on them because like, okay, this just means
Yeah.
there's ice on him at all times, so I don't have to keep worrying about him.
Yep.
And I really love that moment when Endorsey was trying to like explain to Bam what a date is and how dates are supposed to create memories, you know,
Right.
unforgettable memories. And I'm pretty sure she gave him a unforgettable one with the kiss on the cheek.
Mhm.
And yeah, so the date went well. uh
Things went great.
yes.
Even though obviously Rachel got brought in, right?
Yeah, Rachel got brought
Even
into the
she
combo.
she
And
even she even said it how offended she was that another girl
yep.
gets to, you know, to mention. But and Dorsey's more understanding that she, lets herself be seen.
Yeah, I think Endorse is very understanding. um but obviously Bam is still learning, still trying to learn, so I don't put too much blame on the poor guy. But
Hmm.
poor Endorsey. After
Yeah,
this,
point. That's not Dorsey.
after this, we finally see the girl that got mentioned, right? And her new crew.
Yeah, we finally and that she's going to be at that floor where I think when that his group is going to be at, right? They were talking about it throughout the whole episode. They needed to catch up to them,
Yeah.
and it was at that floor, and that's where Endorse and the tracker suit and the rest of the group is heading to. And I like that, they at first in the beginning of the episode, they kind of don't seem rushed to get there. Like, oh, we'll catch up. Then the end of the episode is like they need to be there at the same, when they, yeah,
Yeah.
like now.
Yeah, I do
Yeah,
believe there's a few things that kind of like are making that necessary, and that's like Ilmash's condition, right? Because he lost he lost his ignition weapon, which we can only assume, which was
right.
stated that
The guy told them that. Yep.
yep. And this D rank test is their best option to get it back, or like to catch up, as per se, as you were saying. And yeah,
Hmm.
Rachel's working with Kasano and a few other people.
Yes. And then the travelers joins them.
Yep.
What um what a twist of fate. Can't even.
Yeah. What a twist of
It,
fate, especially with how the girl said that Rachel cannot be controlled by a guide,
I
right?
know.
So like Rachel is such an unpredictable factor that even the guides don't know how to properly guide her, I should say.
Mhm.
But yeah, we end off with Bam's new haircut. How do you feel, Bam? Bam?
Yes, obviously love it better, much better.
Yeah.
But not just that. I love that during that scene, Brack is like being held back because I guess he doesn't want him to get the haircut.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like throughout the episode that happened a lot between them three.
Yep.
They kept them four because now the prince is, part of their. And I thought that was cute too.
Yep.
That they made it kind of clear and obvious that the prince is like part of the trio now.
Yep.
So
I mean, they're all going in there together, right? Even like Coon's old crew, right? They're still gonna keep going, just separate ways. Hold on a second.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Coon's old crew's still going in strong. Coon's like, yeah, I don't want to break us up, but we do have to hurry on to. That's why we were saying that they needed to hurry because they wanted to. Coon wants to figure out what the hell Rachel's up to, and
Yeah.
and stop her because he doesn't want her to get in Bam's way or like I don't think Coon wants Bam to ever see Rachel again, to be honest.
Right. Right.
So the sooner he can get to her, the better to stopping her.
Mhm.
But
Can't wait, but we're gonna have to wait for a year.
hopefully, hopefully, if they make us wait 4 years once again, they up the quality in production because the first half it was good. Second half was a lot better. I feel like the production quality in the second half made it way better. But the story is so good. Like me and you have been saying, this has been probably its best season, and yeah, no real complaints, and that that's all I have for Tower God. You
Yes, that's.
now. All right, let's move on to Orb. Let me
Ooh.
let me just quickly get Orb thing real quick. Um, you know, let me see. Okay,
Orb is really on its own.
what was that?
Orb is really like on its own level. Like
Another Orb?
no. Like Orb, it's in his own level. Like it's in its own category, kind of thing. You know.
Oh yeah, I get what you mean. Um, let me. Man, I really have not gone to do the orb stuff. Hold on. I did not even come prepared for orb. That's crazy. Let me see. Yeah, I was not prepared for orb. Um, okay, give me a second. I'm just gonna put a higher one because I think we got. Hold on.
Um,
Um, I just need to find out where. Okay, we got from episode 12 onwards. Wow.
okay.
Okay.
I think we're only like in 15, no?
Yeah, we got four.
Okay.
Basically the same as Blue Lock.
Mm.
Mm, let me just get a. I'm really shocked. This I was not prepared for this one. I thought I was. Ugh. Um, but anyway, I guess we'll. Let me see if I can find a image real quick. Yeah, like you said, this one's on its own tier.
Mm-hmm.
Especially this last episode, that was really good.
I honestly can't even tell you where it's going.
Uh, me neither.
like, like, like I cannot even speculate. That guy is such a joker on its own like way, and that girl too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. Okay. Okay, I found one real quick. All right, let me add it to the setup, and then we can.
And it's like finally their arc.
Yeah, finally their
Like,
arc.
uh,
I do think the girl's gonna come back though, right? We'll talk about it
yeah,
when
yeah, for sure. It's going to come
we'll
back.
we'll talk about it. Orb 20.
Sure.
Yep, episode 12. We're starting off from episode 12. Uh, let's see. So Bedini, uh, you know, understands like why Walk, I believe is the name, right? The Inquisitioner. He didn't want to tell her like what his job was, and that's because it's like one of the more brutal ones.
Yep. Yeah, we seem to know that she knows that he works for the church, but not as an excuse. Yeah.
Yeah, it was made
The
pretty.
one that executes the deaths of people.
Yeah, he wasn't very clear with her, and the only reason why Nawak stopped them or went back to talk to him was because they got like a anonymous tip or something like that
Mm-hmm.
about a diary, which was the one from Fiasco or whatever, the guy that let him use his observatory.
Yeah.
So they got an anonymous tip from that maybe there was something fishy going on with Badini and Oxy, and basically pretty much Badini agreed to like lead him to the quarters so that to get rid of suspicion. But Oxy was like ready to fight at any point, which I thought was like really really interesting.
Yeah. Well, the dude knew, right? He knew what he was
Yeah, they
facing.
pretty much they knew. Well, after they arrived there, it was pretty much clear, right, that they were either hiding something or they could probably get him for something, because at first seemingly it was just a bunch of books, and then Nawak managed to see the necklace, which he knew belonged to Wrath.
Oh my God, that necklace. Yeah. I mean, that necklace was a big giveaway about what they're up to.
Yeah, and pretty much this made him like go into panic mode, right? Which was,
Mm-hmm.
well, we gotta get out of here. I'm gonna burn all the evidence. You start making a
Mm-hmm.
way, and we only take what's important, and then Harry, get out of here. Live a little life. Change our names, all that stuff. And
Man, yeah.
I
And
think,
then he was able to hear the carriage.
I mean, Oxy was kind of like, okay, well, he could tell where the carriage was at, and he's like, yeah, even if we try to book it, we won't. It's gonna get here way too quickly. So like he goes back
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, new plan.
I gotta call them. Mm-hmm.
It's like I stole him, and you get out of here. And
Mm-hmm.
I think this is when we got the big intro perspective of why Oxy uh decided to carry on the guy's will, right? His friend,
Yeah.
and how like it was kind of like passing of the church that he wanted to like really carry it out for. He he said that it was worth risking his life to make sure that heliocentrism keeps going on, and he realized this after he was like kind of inspired to by his friend, and also like after he was learning to write and all the stuff with that happened in this like trip that or like this journey that he's had with Badini. And he said he was going to put his faith in heliocentrism and he was going to fight to it for death. And Bedini pretty much gave him like the fatherly blessing, like because he's like, we'll see heaven, kind of going back to that, right? So
Yeah.
really cool. He Oxy ended up like meeting the carriage, and Noah was like very like brave of him, and poor Noah, he got stuck with like all the inexperienced Inquisitioners, right? So like they had like no real fighting experience. So like when Oxy went at them, that he just demolished them all, and pretty much the one guy that and did not get killed by Oxy ended up killing himself, which was hilarious. And this episode ends with Oxy and Nawak about to face off, and then we get into episode 13, which is Nawak and Oxy start fighting.
Yeah. The face off.
It was a pretty good fight, I want to say, right? Like it seemed
Yeah, it was.
for as short as it was, like Oxy and Nawak were pretty evenly matched till like Oxy kind of like took a blade to his arm, and then pretty much the leftover Inquisitioners had to like step in and put him on tranquilizers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like enough to like kill him basically. That's how scared they were of him, which was it was kind of crazy. And then he pretty much ended up spending some time recovering, and he had like a dream of sorts, right, where he was talking to the father of the church that told him, like the earth is rotten and stuff. And pretty much in this dream, Oxy just told him that he's gonna be heading. They talked about like a tower leading to heaven or something like that, which I thought was like interesting. And pretty much the whole conversation between him and the father was just reduced to like this is freedom, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Discovering the truth. I feel like what there's focus on is that you're free if you can seek the truth, you know.
yeah, like freedom is seeking the truth, knowing the truth.
Mhm.
Um, but Oxy does wake up, right? He gets caught, and they basically he keeps wondering how. I mean, not him, but Walk joins him, and Walk wonders or no Walk wonders why these heretics keep appearing, right? He keeps killing them, but somehow they keep appearing. So like
Yeah.
he's like he wonders like what motivates them, and
Mm-hmm.
and that's something like he will probably never understand because he's so deep into the church teachings,
Faith. Yeah.
so brainwashed per se. And even Otis kind of like wondering like like okay, I'm here, but like what happened to Bedini and all the research.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out Bedini gets caught. you know
Yeah. Fuck. Poor
or,
him. All that for nothing.
yeah, I mean he they weren't stupid about it, right? They knew he was fighting time, so I'm pretty sure they sent people after uh way before on like a different in like a different way, right? To like make sure they didn't escape.
Mm.
And I do like that there was like a recall of like Bedini and Oxy talking and about how like what happens if they get caught. And basically in that there's like, well, if we get caught we just have to accept our fate, you know, like we're gonna have to
Mhm.
endure pain and just accept that we're gonna die. And I think he was really smart, or Nawak, right? He was talking to Bedini about like, you know, you gotta cough up this evidence, and or basically he decided to, instead of like torturing Bedini, he's like, I'll torture Oxy instead. You know, he's the bargaining chip.
Mhm.
So pretty much the torture for Oxy is gonna about to start. Um, because
Yeah.
Bedini refused to let him know where the research was. He just said, "I burned it all." Like, and whatever Nawak found in Bedini's cabin was was burned by Nawak himself. So I think this is also when Nawak realized, you know, there's, you guys have something that keeps getting passed on to, that keeps getting all these people to show up.
Mhm. Yes.
So that's why he kept on questioning Bedini about where it was, and even to the point where it was like, the first it was like the mouth, I believe, that was broken by Nawak because of the torture device that they got, and then it was gonna go for the eye of Oxy, and that's like on episode 30, not 30, but episode 14, right? Where Nawak keeps telling him like, you don't, I don't believe that you didn't have anything. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. The torture goes on, but he breaks though. He definitely.
yeah, Bedini breaks at the end, right?
Mhm.
Because they were gonna go after Oxy's eyes, which, you know, Oxy has a very good eyesight, so like having that, and also like Bedini being one of the few people that has lost an eye,
Mhm.
and partially blinded in the other, knows the pain of losing losing an eye truly is.
Right. Yeah. That's where he caved in.
And he lets him know and takes him where the treasure chest is, right? So Novak pretty much like realized that, oh, so this is no wonder we couldn't get rid of you guys. You know, like this is, you guys all kept coming back
Mhm.
here,
Mhm.
rereading this, and like you kept reappearing, re-inspiring others. And you know, I mean, at least now with Bedini is letting him know where everything was. It wasn't gonna be just torture. It was just gonna be, you're dead and then burned. You know.
Yeah.
And but I think this is when they found out about Raph too, right? They talk about Raph once again and how it was like a 10-year-old that went through it and killed himself.
Yes, I like that it was mentioned.
Me
I
too,
at
because I think
one point.
Raph is one of the more compelling people from so far from
Mhm.
that we've had like carry on this research.
Mhm.
So him being brought up is really good. We never forget Raph. And even though it's seemingly hopeless now, right? I think Bedini point tells Oxy he has a backup plan,
Mhm.
and his backup plan was gonna be Oxy's diary, which Oxy thought he had burned up or tossed away or whatnot, right?
Right. Funny how that ends up being with the snitcher.
Yes.
Funny how that works.
Yep. And I mean, pretty much now it's kind of like, well, maybe you had a point in the end, right? Maybe it's worth uh, having something to inspire others. You know, even if it's
Mhm.
not gonna benefit me per se, like just inspiring others will have its own benefit. And then they get hanged and then burned, like, or like, then they're
Yeah.
basically on their entrance to heaven slash hell, whatever they go. uh and it doesn't really end with them, because now, like, even people wonder, like, uh some of the inquisitioners, right, that were with Nawak, wonder whether the faith of the church is correct, right?
Right. It's absolute. Yep.
Yep. They start wavering a bit, and you know one of the guys was like, that's something up to the scholars. We're not thinkers. We just
Hmm.
follow. Which is kind of like how the church is just brainwashing them all, and not have they don't have their own, like, um agency and stuff because of that. But this one guy, uh that's teamed up, that's with that Nowak is training.
Hmm.
They end up meeting Jolenta, right? Because obviously they're like, okay, well, these guys met up with Jolenta, so now they're kind of like, okay, we kind of just have to do our job and kind of question her a bit. And hopefully it won't come down to, like, torturing her if she's telling the truth. And they go and they try to get her up for questioning, and Jolenta's obviously smart and Badeni'S smart, so they were like, okay, if we get caught, you pretend like you know nothing of us.
Hmm. Yeah.
And one of the guys that has it out for Nowak tells them, all right, you caught her.
Yeah. Sneeps the Sneeps what's happening,
Yep.
and it's going to, yeah, take advantage of it for personal agenda.
Yeah, he took it for, like, a personal agenda, and now he was like, okay, get her up for the tortures,
Hmm.
prepare her for torture. And one of the ways was, like, uh with the pulling her teeth, right?
Hmm.
He pulled her teeth, and then, or tooth, whatever. Jolenta kept denying it, and one of the guys was like, what if she really doesn't know? And he's like, don't let her fool you, and one of the guys was like, kind of felt bad about it, and he was like, you know what, why don't we get the thumb breakers, right? I don't want to look at her while I pull her tooth out, or her teeth out. And the guy ends up going to try to get this new device, right? And he comes upon the guy, Anthony, who's trying to use this to his advantage, and this is going to be his way of getting rid of Nawak, who's costing the church a lot of money. They're going to uh, label Jolenta a heretic, and then they're going to be like, well, the father's probably involved in it too. And that's how he was planning to get rid of her and him. But the guy that sees and hears this happening goes back and is like, you know what, I don't know where the device is, can you go get it instead? And then he ends up freeing Jolenta.
Yes.
And
Happy for my girl.
I love how there was, like, like, a moment between them where it was like, and they talked about, like, the faith and the faith in life and whatnot, right? It's really a really touching moment. um but as it turns out, that had consequences, which was episode 15, I believe. Now has him uh starting off the episode completely bloodied and beaten.
Yes. He was not. Well, he wasn't really telling them the truth. But I mean, how could he? He's like right there.
Yeah,
Like, what's
exactly.
he gonna do? Like, I heard you plotting, because obviously some of the people that were with him are there anyway. So it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
futile, futile
Yeah,
to
poor
even try to fight them because you already know that they're all in it together. And then who is his little friend to do anything about it? He would only be caught up in it.
Yep.
Well, So I mean, he did make a big sacrifice to what he thought it was right.
Yeah, he did.
He said it right, like protect the enemy or love the enemy.
Yeah, that was the quote he tried to spit on them, right? Like, or the verse. He's like, "This is the verse I live
Yeah.
by," and
Mhm.
the guy was like, "Oh, that verse is often misunderstood by a lot of you, you know."
Mhm. Mhm.
And he was like, in that verse, it's basically just telling you, you know, think of the worst. You have to think of the worst possible outcome and act on that. And pretty much, he said, your actions probably could cost like an end to humanity. I'm like, that's kind of,
Yeah. He
that's kind
really
of,
did say it.
I'm like, that's kind of far fetched, you know, like that's crazy thinking, but okay. Then he has a smart idea, you know, we should tell Nawak about his daughter becoming a heretic and her being burned alive, even though they had no body. They didn't have her, right? Like, well,
Oh,
how are we gonna burn something with no body? He's like, we have one right here, you know. Um, so they're planning to burn this guy alive, or maybe kill him and then burn him. Who knows, right? Who knows the actual like sequence of it? But he ends up taking her place, and they tell Nawak this as he's
yeah.
burning.
The plan's still on about overthrowing him or
Yep,
getting rid of him.
yep. Um, they go to see Nawak, and he is uh just about to finish burning Badini and Oxy, right? At this point, and he gets this news. They think it's gonna rile them, and they send him to um, where the body was being burned, right?
Mhm.
And you just see him there staring, almost like it's almost kind of sad because he doesn't want to show any emotion, but you can tell like he's feeling this to the core because to him this is his daughter being burned alive.
Mhm.
Uh, but and it was like the guy was like, you know, usually we don't make any exceptions, but for you, I told him not to burn the gloves.
Yeah. We'll know that that was only how to make his plan work.
Yep. And man, do we find out the significance of those gloves? Because
Right. And basically the relationship, right?
yeah, the relationship of him and his daughter to a bit to degree, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
his daughter has been looking for these gloves for a while, or like looking for gloves, right? Because her hands were getting cold from studying at night, and she was envying this kid that the father or parent bought gloves to, and Nawak noticed, and he was like, "Oh, you know, I'm good. I bought you the perfect pair of gloves. You know, they're gonna fit you just right." And she tried to thank him, and he was like, "No, no, no, no. If there's anybody you should thank, it's God." You know.
Right.
So she thanks God, and when the gloves arrive, they're not her size. So then she's trying to blame the dad for the gloves being in the wrong size. And it's like, no, 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 no. They must have gotten them wrong, right? And then she's like, okay, well, if you're not our fault, then it's probably God that's our fault.
Mm-hmm.
And he did not like the fact that she was trying to say that God is a liar, and he kind of like lectured her a bit on it, and then went out and thought about it for a bit. And he's like, okay, well, you know, he was like, it is kind of my fault, you know, but like, what what is needed in this situation? Is it really the religion that is needed in this situation, or is it just me trying to make my daughter happy that is really needed in this situation? So he goes back and he apologizes, you know. uh she wears the gloves. He's like, you know, I can just wear them like this. Before uh we know that's the gloves she currently has or had, and she actually did grow into them. He just didn't. He could have just told her that, you know. I'm like, you could just tell her you'll grow into them at one point. But it was pretty brutal seeing a character that we've had such a I know we not necessarily hated him, but he had such a stoic face, right, where he never showed any emotion. Finally, like break down because he thinks his daughter died,
Yeah.
and he's just holding on to the gloves that used to be hers. Uh, and then we move to from that touching scene to the church guy, the father that was solely responsible for putting in the tip about Bedini, or at least that's what he feels it's what happened. And then basically he finds a note left behind by Bedini, and it had like the poems of that one person that he tried asking Bedini about it at first, and Bedini's like no, and now he kind of like wrote him off memory, so it's not like complete. But it was kind of like a touching moment where it was kind of like Bedini did remember you. You are he did not forget about you. He knows this would make him happy and more like willing to do what Bedini said him out to do, which was accept any beggars that came into the church.
Yeah.
And we know this was like planned in advance because it took like a month for these people to like show up, right? So like they have,
And the hair was grown, and that took time too.
yeah, which
It really seems like he switched from the chest to people's heads.
yes, I think that's what ended up. I think and that's what Oxy's notes were for, right? I think um what he wrote on on their heads was something that anybody could understand, and that would be like Oxy's notes, I believe, because he did say it was
I don't.
Oxy's.
Yeah, I couldn't really tell you. I thought it was his book that found him was the one that's, and it was the reason that they got snitched.
Yeah, I think it's he said. I mean, but then he did say he left behind Oxy's note or diary, right? Behind, and he called them books, right? And they're wondering why they're books. There's like 60 pages, which I'm assuming is just Oxy's diary about like everything that happened.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
I mean, that's what I'm willing to bet. If wrong, I'm wrong, but
Okay, let's move on. But
that
yeah,
that's
good thing that they were able to save something to pass along, though. I don't. I honestly have my doubts that it's a diary because the diary has no scientific like theory. I definitely think it's his theory of like completed from the 12-year-old to his to the girl to his, and like it completes the explanation of it, and it can be tested or whatever. That's what I think is so 60 pages.
okay.
So
It could be
so we'll
because we'll see. We'll definitely see.
we'll
I think this is the end for Orb though.